Well, we haven't looked at an old OS in a while, so why don't we do that today? Let's look at KDE 3 on Slackware 12.2 while we're in the KDE mood. So Slackware 12.2 came out in 2008, so it's getting on a bit now. It hasn't been updated since last year, but that doesn't matter. Right? If you're going to do this kind of thing, you definitely don't want them online. You know, it's just too risky to do that. Just keep them offline. You know, look at them for experimenting around with, but don't use them as an everyday system. So yeah, I used Slackware 12.2 for a long time because it was that weird point where KDE 4 came out, and at first it was a real mess. It was just completely buggy and things just didn't work right. It looked really weird as well. It just wasn't a good start. So KDE sort of hung around for a while, KDE 3, and you had the Trinity project and things like that to keep it going a little while longer. So anyway, we'll get Slackware installed and we'll have a look at KDE 3. Now the reason why I picked Slackware, aside from the fact that it's my favourite distro, is that if I install a dependency handling distro now that's so out of date, it's going to shit itself when it first sees the internet. It's going to try and update and it will fail to do so. I mean, in Ubuntu you can point it to the old repos and you can update it that way, obviously up to the level that it was when it dropped support. But you know, it's just so much easier to install Slackware in this case. It's not going to try and do things in the background, it's just going to let us use it. I can install the VMware tools and it's not going to just fuck itself up on its own. So yeah, I'm just running through the default install here with everything because why not, and we'll come back to it once it's restarted. This was one of the first versions to come with Slack package for updating the system. Now we're running at risk here that the mirror might not be active anymore, but let's just try it out and see what happens. I mean, you don't have to use Slack package to update the system if you don't want to. No, see, it's not resolving it. I thought this might happen. So this is the sort of issue you're going to run into when you run older operating systems. This is why I'll keep it in the video, so that you can see, you know, that it's not just a simple process anymore. No, again, I'll have to find a correct mirror. Okay, the UK mirror service saves the day. Right, let's see if there's any new packages which have been released since the release of 12.2. No, there hasn't, so we can just do an upgrade all now. It'll do all the packages that have been updated up to June 2018. Obviously it's not going to do anything newer than that because Pat hasn't released any further updates since then. He dropped support for these old versions last year. Just want to say thanks to the old subscribers who are still around and still watching the videos. It's great to see you around on YouTube still and still subscribing and enjoying the videos. We haven't done anything particularly exciting yet. I'm still trying to sort of work my way around, and completely different software now. I'm using OBS and Vegas rather than Cam Studio and Movie Maker like in the old days, and Record My Desktop. Those are long gone for me. I'm using all this modern crap. It's not crap, but I'm getting used to it. So yeah, we'll go from there. We'll have some more interesting videos soon, and not ones that keep focusing on KDE all the time. I've got a good few rant videos up my sleeve as well. There's a few things I really want to talk about. I'm going to start ranting about Windows as well. We haven't done a Windows rant yet. I think it's time to do one. As you know, I hate every operating system. They're all fucking crap. Do you know what I like about Slackware? It's just so clear what it's doing. It's just, it's just so simple. Everything's just so simple. There's no really crazy shit going on in the background or anything. It is what it is, and it just works. I think it's fantastic. If they brought KDE to it officially, KDE 5, I'd be really pleased with it. I just can't wait for them to do that. I'll wait for Pat to do that. It'll be great. Let's run Lilo to update the kernel. We might as well overwrite everything because why not? So what I need to do after the reboot is install the VMware tools, which could be interesting. The good thing with VMware is they give you a copy of the old tools in case the newer ones don't work, because they depend on a newer version of glibc or something, so the new ones might not work, but we'll find out. They may well do. Good thing with Slackware is it has all the build essentials and things like that out of the box, so everything should just build no problem, provided it's at the right version. But you know, it's a risk. Again, it's a 11-year-old version of the operating system. We may have to tweak a few things, but we'll find out. And I gave the VM2 cores, so we get 2 tucks or 2 tuxes. What's the plural for tux? Tuxi. Here goes nothing. It's finding the default directories and things, so that's encouraging. See, normally it sort of shits itself before this stage, so I think we might have some joy here. Oh yeah, Slackware and PAMD. I just sort of trick it by doing that. If we run it again, yeah, look at that. I think it's going to do it. I'm really reading everything in detail here, aren't I? Just letting it do it. Yeah, it looks like it's picking everything up. It's building. It's building it. That's good. Oh, please build it successfully. Don't error out on me. Automatic kernel modules. This is not really necessary, is it? Let's have a bit of 4. We're going to change it anyway, but... Hello X11, how are you today? It's looking good. Don't worry about that failure, it's not important to our usage here. So it started the service, so we don't really need to reboot. We weren't in X already, so we can add our text now. Because you just don't run it as root. Don't run X11 as root. It's absolutely terrible. It's bad practice altogether. Now I don't think it lets us have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously it does if we re-enter it. Sometimes it shits itself and it asks you to re-enter it, but then it doesn't work anyway. I'm just gonna make a couple of tweaks here. This is not really necessary, is it? But you know, like Slackware, it has this crazy long timeout. Even if you have one operating system, it has this crazy long timeout that just takes forever. It's just completely pointless. So we'll do that. We'll modify this file here and set the run level so we get X11 straight away. So we will reboot, because why not? Pretend that we're on Windows and reboot all the time. Do you remember on Windows 9X, you know, you click something and you had to reboot, you know, you click start and you went into control panel, you change the resolution, it would go, ooh, reboot now, you've done something, but then you click no and it would work fine anyway. I think it was just to sort of cover themselves and just completely ensure that there was no issues. So here we go again, we'll get our tuxi. It's got to be the plural, hasn't it? Got to be. There they are. And there we are, there's KDE free, or KDM free at this point. Do you just notice how easy it was to get everything up and running? Not easy in the sense of beginner easy, but easy in the sense of, you know, it's so simple. There's not loads of shit going on, and it just works. And this is nice. KDE should do this now. It's going to set our locale straight away. British English, yeah, that's what we want. So we'll have the correct date and time format. I'd completely forgotten about this, actually, that KDE 3 did this. It's been such a long time. I haven't looked at it since literally the day I decided that KDE 4 was for me. So this is nice, these little tweaks that you can make. It's like your Windows users, it can sort of take that behaviour. But we'll go for KDE default. The only thing that I will change is a double click there, because single clicking is just mad. I just don't get that. Yeah, let's have all the effects that you can offer us. Oh, I think I just used to stick with plastic. I mean, it looks dated now, but you know, at the time you had Windows XP. Well, no, Vista was out at this point, but when KDE 3 came out, you had Windows XP. You know, this is miles ahead. It's absolutely miles ahead what you could do with it. It's just crazy. You know, it's not even comparable. Windows, this was so much nicer than Windows. This is why I used Linux so much in those days. It's just miles ahead. So we're pre Dolphin here. We're still running Conqueror at this stage. Now this is the last version of 3.5. I think it's 3.5.10, which was the last version of 3.5. And then you had the Trinity project. Yeah, look, there you go, 3.5.10. Now, do you remember on the other videos I kept trying to find the version number of KDE 4 and it didn't let us, it was hidden, it was just stupid. You know, this makes sense, it's simple, it's easy. Again, you know, I'm not talking a beginner easy, but it's easy in that, you know, you just want to find something and there it is. You know, we've come a long way, but sort of gone so far backwards in the process. I don't know how to explain it really. I'm sure you understand what I mean. It's just crazy. You know, this hasn't changed much in KDE 5. It's still basically the same thing. You know, it's just basically the same thing. This seems to have far more on it, but I think it's because things have been grouped together now rather than separate like on this. And I definitely want double click. I don't want single click. You know, single click, it just asks for issues. There's an old-timey thing, you know, restarting after doing everything. I mean, that's just akin to log out and log back in again. We have to reboot the whole system, but yeah, this is just so much easier to work with and get on with. It looks dated, as I say, but it isn't too bad. I could totally work with this if you had like modern program compatibility. In fact, if anything, this would be, I'm thinking of an older machine, KDE 3, but with modern apps. You know, it's sort of like a good compromise. It's not going to be the quickest thing in the world, but it'll do. It'll be quite good. So anyway, I mean, we can poke around in the settings all day and change things. It's all personal preference, isn't it? But this is so customizable even back then. I never used to use virtual desktops. I never saw the point. I just didn't see the point of it. So we just don't need that. There we go. So Slackware, as you know, comes with an awful lot of software by default. It's just absolutely ram-packed. It's great. You know, it's anything you could ever choose from there, and you can just remove anything without the risk too much of breaking anything else. So let's just have a look here, for example. Now obviously it requires some level of knowing what you're doing, so you wouldn't want to remove like half the stuff and then you'd have, you know, other programs break. But if you knew what you were doing, let's say for example, oh, I don't want CMonkey, I've never used it, I've no desire to use it, I can just remove it. And it's not going to take a meta package which then takes other stuff with it, and then when you remove, you know, you run an auto remove command or something, it takes other stuff with it. You're not going to get that on Slackware, and that still stands today. So I won't go too much into it, but it's just so simple. It's great, it's fantastic. Oh look, Amarok. Do you remember Amarok? I don't know if that's still developed or anything, I haven't looked at it in years. But you know, again, at the time, this was pretty advanced. It's pretty ahead of everything else. It's just fantastic. You know, so innovative in those days. I hate things that minimise to the system tray. You know, there's certain things it's good for, but stuff like that, if I'm not actively playing a file, it's just not necessary. I suppose it would come up quicker. So let's have a look. If we say look at Firefox, it's going to be way out of date now, isn't it, on Slackware 12.2. It's going to be like 3.5 or something, isn't it? I'm surprised that even rendered. Let me see. 3.0.9, yeah, that's, look at it, it's bloody 9 years old. Now I wonder, Oh wow, it actually renders perfectly because it's such a basic site. That's good. TechSnap.co.uk is back. I just, I wanted some sort of website again. And it's even working with the SSL. I thought that might fail on such an old version, but I wonder if we can install the latest Firefox. I mean, our dependencies are going to be all over the place for this, aren't they? I don't think it's going to run, but we can try it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. I'm really impressed that stuff is rendering so well on such an old version of Firefox. It won't have HTML5, will it? So it's going to be, the YouTube videos won't play, will they, without Flash? No, they won't. They might do after running this. Let's see what happens. I'll do it from the command line. Doing it from the GUI is going to be a completely annoying task. And then we can remove. I don't want to remove it yet in case it doesn't work. I don't want to remove the included version because I've got the feeling that this is not going to do it. Oh, you silly arse. No. Oh no, it's going to run, yeah. Yeah, see, this is what we're going to get on Linux. I mean, I could go through and update things to get to this level, but there's just no point, and that's not the reason why I installed this today. So yeah, I mean, that's KDE 3. There's not too much I can go into it. It's heavily customizable. That's one cool thing. It really is customizable. I mean, you could do all this shit with it. You got to think how old KDE 3 is. The initial release is just so customizable. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Bouncing cursors. You can still set that, I think, if you really want to, if you're that way inclined. You can even make it look like Windows 98. If for some strange reason you wanted to do that. I guess if you were giving it to someone who wasn't familiar with Linux, you could do that. But yeah, you wouldn't necessarily do that. This all brings back memories. Now this theme's pretty awesome. It takes me back. Do you remember the Windows XP betas? It had that watercolor theme. This is much like that. I really like that. I think you can still have this in KDE 5 if you want. It's just so customizable and it's just so easy and so basic. Whatever you want to, you can literally just do anything. You don't have to modify any files. It's just all there. As I say, it's still true now in KDE. It's just, you've got to think of the age of this and what you could do with it. It's kind of insane, really, to think of how advanced it was and how far ahead it was of everything else at the time. I'm probably going to get someone in the comments going, oh, there was other things that do it as well. But if that is the case, then tell me about it and we can look at it in a future video. This isn't a rant video. I mean, I'm probably wrong on loads of things, but if you've got other examples, then feel free to share them and we'll have a look at them. This has got the KDE Office rather than Open Office on it. I never thought much of that, really. Open Office was superior. I mean, as you know, I'm not a big fan of Open Office anyway, so something that's worse than Open Office, in my opinion, is really scraping the barrel. It's just, there's no chance of me using this. There is no chance of me using it at all. I mean, it's just so bloody basic. It's probably, it's probably good enough to do basic tasks, and for most people it's fine, but the second that you want to do anything funky with it, it's probably just going to fall apart. I mean, I notice here it can open Microsoft documents, and I just think that's going to be a disaster. Everything's just going to break. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to get a modern Microsoft document and stick it in here, because that's changed so much in itself. I mean, sort of DocX and the modern formats would only just be around when this came out, so as I say, it wouldn't be fair, but I don't know. Office suites, I think that Microsoft does it best at the moment. There's just no way of getting away from that. And there's nothing quite like Outlook, which is really frustrating. Microsoft are releasing everything for every other platform now. It really would be nice to have Microsoft Office on Linux. It'd be one of those big things, that'd be really nice to have. Got pretty standard stuff in here, but it's got everything that you could ever possibly want, really. I can't complain. So yeah, I think old PC, not connected to the internet, you just need it to do the odd thing here and there. It's perfect for that. An old version of Slackware. It's a shame that we can't get a modern browser running on it, but then again, I wouldn't really want it connected to the internet in any case. So yeah, this is just a quick video about an old version of Linux and KDE 3. As I say, I like to get back into these videos and do something more exciting, so to speak. But for now, that's it. I just thought I'd show you this because it was something I wanted to do myself, and it's fairly interesting, at least to me anyway. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. And when we click log out, we get the selection of options, but it makes sense here because we've got one button there to log out and all the options then are hidden in there. It makes sense, but not on KDE 5 by default, where it gives you every option in the menu, but then you click it and it gives you the option again. It's just excessive, it's just crazy. It'd be like if I clicked turn off here and then it came up again and said, do you want to do this crap? It'd be just pointless. This makes sense, this is good.